Hi people, hi members of the SCC family. So guys, it's 2021, all right? It's my very first time showing my face, and I hope it's not too late to say Happy New Year. So Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year, my wonderful subscribers, viewers, anyone that loves this family. Happy New Year to you. So in this recipe I'm doing, I call it a trio, okay? I'm using peanut butter, I'm using palmnut paste, and I'm using my spinach to prepare soup. So, and then probably serve with rice balls or plain rice or yam, whatever you want. But the main recipe for today is my trio. So it's simply palm nut and peanut spinach infused soup. I hope you guys like it. Let's get the ingredients going. So to start my peanut palm paste soup, guys, here are the proteins I'm using. So here I have meat, right, from the cow. That's my meat. I have my fresh turkey and some cow foot. Okay, so these are the three main proteins for the soup. Then here I have my fresh tomatoes. I'm using 3, and in this beautiful bowl I have my whole onion, 3 scotch bonnets. I have my ginger and my cloves of garlic. I'm using 5. So here's my peanut butter paste. This is 300 grams, and then this is 400 grams of my palm paste. So these are part of the trio. I also need some salt to taste and my chopped or diced onion. And finally, I have here my seasoning cube. I have my cloves and nutmeg, 2 tablespoons of tomato puree. I have in here my rosemary and some frozen coriander. Let's get cooking, guys. So guys, it's not the last bit what you just saw, guys. So this is the final ingredient, which is one key part of it as well, part of the trio. So these are my spinach, okay, neatly washed in salty water and then ready to be cut for the soup. So to start, I've got to marinate or season my meat or the protein I'm using. So in goes my chopped onions, my ginger, my garlics, my frozen coriander. Yeah, I can't always have this kind of herbs at home, so most of the time you see me using frozen ones. That's because I kind of always have them. Okay, I love my seasonings. And now I'm just stripping plucking the leaves of the rosemary into it. You don't want to use the stem, guys. Once you put the stem in there, you see it get spiky in the mixture. So I'm just taking it off, and that's what I'm doing. Okay, this is it. This is it. I'm just taking these bits off, and then I leave that stick out. Right. So all in there, you're going to add some water. You know, just enough to blend it. See, let's get blending. So everything blended. I'm now going to add it to my meat. Guys, look at that. And it smells divine, okay? So with this in there, I'm now going to add a tablespoon of my cooking salt, okay? Let's do the salt gradually so we don't end up over salting our beautiful dish. So I'm just going to coat the meat, these beautiful herbs and spices, and then we're going to cover this, allow it to cook in its own juices beautifully, and then we get them into the oven, get it a bit smoky because it gives you an extra touch, you know, extra flavor to the soup when it's been in the oven and it's kind of roasted, kind of smoky. Yeah, so we leave it to cook beautifully. Yeah, we'll come back when it's all cooked and then we move on. Okay, so look at that. Look at the juices it's produced, guys. So you can choose not to add water, and if you wanted to add any, just a little bit, because look at that. There's so much juice or liquid in the meat and in the turkey. So you don't need to add anything. Now at this stage, I'm going to go ahead and drop my beautiful tomatoes. One in there, the other, and the other. And equally add my whole onion, my scotch bonnet, nicely. I'm using 3, guys, because peanut butter soup, for me, without chili or spice, I struggle to eat it. Okay, but it is equally optional to the person that doesn't like hot meals. Okay, so if you don't like it, you can do this recipe and omit the pepper or the chili, and it still tastes beautiful. So at this point, I'm going to allow it another cooking time, and then we continue. So guys, look at it. It is beautiful. Now what I'm going to do now, in my oven tray is my cling foil. I'm now going to get my meat out, that's the turkey, gradually onto this tray and get it into the oven. So meat in the oven, we're going to leave these bits for about 2 minutes, and then we blend them. So while we wait for the 2 minutes to cook our tomatoes, we're going to now cut our beautiful spinach that is neatly washed. So we're just taking it. I want them bits in the soup. You can choose to cut it bigger than this. Sometimes you can even rip them, okay? Tear them into any sizes you want and just get them going. I'm just trying to be a little OCD here. Anyway, guys, if you love what you've seen so far and you want to be a member of the SCC family, you are highly welcome. All you need to do, hit the button and subscribe. You want someone to know about this beautiful family, share the videos. You have a question, you have an appreciation, give me a comment. If you love it too, hit the like button, guys. And guys, if you make it a point to try this recipe, kindly let me know how it turns out, okay? I know it's beautiful, but I'll be very happy to hear from you too. Right? So at this point, I'm just cutting my spinach beautifully. Our spinach is ready. Let's continue with our beautiful dish. So we are now ready to blend our tomatoes and onions and the scotch bonnet. I'm now going to throw in my cloves. Let's get blending, guys. Ta-da! The meat is ready, guys, to add to my pan. So I have the stock in here, okay, because I'm using the same saucepan for the soup. I'm now going to gently drop my meat one by one and then proceed with the cooking of my peanut and palm paste infused with spinach soup. So now we're ready to pour our blend of the whole onion, tomato, and the scotch bonnets, okay? I'm now going to rinse my blender and then add it to it nicely. And I'm going to allow this to come to a boil. And then I add my peanut and palm paste. So whilst I wait for the meat to boil, I'm now going to show you how I do my palm paste. I've realized that sometimes there's this kind of dark residue, so I tend to put it in a measuring cup or a bigger bowl, okay? And when I've done that, with my kettle boiled, and I'll pour it on top. Okay. Now the water quantity here depends on the amount of water you have or amount of the basis of your soup on boiling on the fire, okay? So what I'm trying to say is that if you have enough soup or enough water around the meat, you have to be careful with this so that you don't exceed the limits of your saucepan. If it's possible and it's too much, you can transfer it to a bigger bowl. I'm going to add some more water because I want it light, and I'll leave it to settle and then trust that when I pour it into the soup, I'll have all the residue underneath it. If this hasn't got a residue, then fair enough, guys. But most of the time, each time I've used this tin palm nut paste, I found out that there are residues underneath it, and that's why I do this. Leave it to settle, and then when you pour gently to leave it. Okay, so moving on from that, I have my peanut butter here. I'm going to add a little water to this and blend it in the blender. You can equally use your fingers or your spatulas to, you know, get them smooth, but I prefer the blender because it gives me, it's quicker and it's smoother before I add it to my pot. Okay, so let's do this. So this is what I meant, guys. Okay, this is it, why I use the blender. It gives me a very smoothly blended peanut butter. Let's get the soup cracking. Okay, it's boiling beautifully. I'm now going to add my palm paste beautifully. And when I'm pouring this, I'm checking to see if there are black bits. So guys, see, this is what I'm talking about. Let me pour a little bit more and then you can see. Can you see that? Look at that. So at this point, I stop. Okay, so if you pour it straight into your soup without doing this, you end up having all these black bits. And the black bits, they come from the nut itself, right? The nut itself. So it's not anything bad, but obviously at this point you cannot eat it. So you're going to allow it to boil, and then we add our peanut paste. So now in goes my peanut butter. Let me just scrape my blender, as I don't like wasting food. Okay, so it's in there. I'm equally going to put in my tomato paste, tomato puree, anyhow you want to call it. Then my nutmeg, just about half a teaspoon or a full teaspoon, depending on how much garlic flavor you want in this soup. All right. And now my seasoning cube. So it depends on anyone or whichever one you want. This is the one I prefer. All right. Can you give it a good, guys? This thing smells beautiful. Okay, we can scrape our ends to keep the saucepan clean. Now let me taste this and see if I need salt. Okay, for now no salt. I'm going to cover it and allow it to cook. So yeah, as you can see, guys, our soup is getting ready. It's not yet there, guys. So when you have these foams on top of it, the soup is not ready. Okay, when it begins to get ready, you see that the natural oils from the paste and the peanut will start forming on the top, and that should signal that the soup is about to get ready. But I'm just going to add my salt to it. So the pot I'm using is for a 4-liter quantity, just in case you're wondering what size to use. Based on my measurements, it's for 4 liters. Okay, you can do half of everything you've seen if you have a smaller pot or pan. Right, so now with my salt in there, I'm going to allow it to cook. Then I add my spinach. So now the oil is beginning to form, guys. You see that? So I'm going to go ahead and get my spinach into this. Now the reason why I wait for the soup to be kind of almost ready before I add the spinach is so that I don't overcook the spinach. Okay, just so that I don't overcook it. Nicely. Okay, that is the only reason why I add the spinach late. So we dip it into it. Let's get the edges cleaned as much as we can. So now we leave our spinach to cook, to complete the cooking. and the soup, and then we serve. And like I said, guys, I'm serving this with rice balls. Okay, I have a video on the smooth rice balls on there, so it's kind of the same, but this time you don't blend the rice. But I'll upload a proper recipe for the rice balls, and if you want to know what that is, check on my list and you find the smooth rice balls. It's kind of the same. You can have it with anything you want, but I'm having rice balls, so I'll serve it, guys, and then we are done. Here we are, guys. Our trio is done. Okay, so this is my rice balls, and as you can see, I've served my portion, and I cannot wait to tuck in. Thank you for taking your time to watch this beautiful recipe. Take care, guys.